you could get the terrible towels going in here and create the atmosphere, you know, this is their shot now.
And Long has that blocked, and that's exactly what the Steelers needed.
That comes up with a play to put the Pittsburgh Steelers right back in this thing.
Harris dives for the touchdown. And Roethlisberger throws it. Ebron, the tight end, will take it in for the score.
Look out.
And that is batted and up in the air, and it winds up in the hands of Cam Sutton. Cam Hayward batted it in the air. Cam to Cam. That's caught on the outside and taken in by Farmer for the touchdown.
And the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the most bizarre ways, a block kick, a tip pass, are right back in this football game.
Steelers, they were down by 17 when the quarter began. 37-34. Herbert fires open, making the grab. Mike Williams down the sideline. High steps his way in for the touchdown. What a game this is. Look out again. And a huge sack by Joey Bosa. And that's going to pretty much end it right there. And a frustrated Steeler team that made a tremendous comeback, took the lead, had the Chargers on the ropes, and then that play to Mike Williams was a dagger.
Here we go. This pass is caught, and that's a touchdown. That's the way to work. Come on. He's hit that sack. The Steelers win the football game. Let's go. Come get it. You know what it is. This one is in the history books. Here we go.
Welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show here on KDKA. I'm Bob Pompeani, and a big week ahead. It's AFC North football. The Cincinnati Bengals, who beat the Steelers earlier, this is going to be a rematch coming up. We'll talk a lot about that in the moments ahead. But right now, though, we're going to start with last week. A bittersweet kind of a game. The Steelers had dug themselves back from a 17-point deficit, take the lead only to lose it at the very end. One that potentially slipped away. Here to talk about that, head coach Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coach, your thoughts about that game? Is that one that you thought maybe you could have stolen out of Los Angeles?
You know, much like I said after the game, man, I am just so appreciative of the spirit and fight of this group. It has served us well, and it will continue to serve us well. We came up short in those circumstances, but the fight is the fight. But also, as much as I appreciate it, I think it's also important to know that it is expected. It's expected by me. It's expected by us. We realize that it's required if we want to be special. And so I'm appreciative of it, but boy, it's required. Not only last weekend, but it's required because we got some significant battles that lie ahead. And oftentimes the intangible qualities, the things that you're willing to do, the selflessness, the spirit in which we work, will get us out of some sticky situations more times than not.
The whole thing started with a great special teams play and Miles Killebrew with another block. How much of that was attributed to just film study that you guys had, knowing that opportunity might be there? And once that happened, what was the momentum like on the side for you guys?
Man, we feel really good about our block unit. That's no secret. You know, and not only in 2021, but in recent years, our block unit has been one of the tops in the NFL. We work at it. We seek guys who have that on their resume. Miles Killebrew, for instance, came in with a block reputation from his time in Detroit. Man, he has solidified that. He's got 2 blocks for us in 10 games, and we're appreciative of those contributions. But largely, man, it's a style of play that we embrace. We acquire people that have skill set in that area, and then we also work it. It's fundamental in terms of techniques, but it's also some schematics there in terms of how we choose to attack their protections.
And then after that, Ben Roethlisberger in the offense delivered some points. He missed the entire week, and he seems, for whatever reason, to be good when he misses a week of practice and he comes back and he puts up numbers. So I suspect you're never going to have him practice the rest of the year, correct?
No, that's not going to happen. But, you know, he's just positioned to call on his experience. And that's an asset or a winning edge that his experience provides us. Oftentimes, you know, we talk about his age and experience in a negative light, or we answer questions to that regard. But his experience allows us to be able to infuse him into a game plan and have him play the way that he played on Sunday. 18 years of in-helmet perspective on practice preparation, 18 years of in-stadium competition experience, I think all create what it is that we're very comfortable with seeing him in recent years be able to show up in less than ideal circumstances and play really good football.
Your defense had 3 significant players out of the lineup. How much schematically did that affect your game plan going into this, knowing that they're 3 of the most important players you have on defense?
To be honest, it should have affected us more. And that's what I meant when I said after the game that I take responsibility because I didn't put these guys in good enough position to be successful under the circumstances. We probably played too much to our personality given the number of people that we were missing, and we probably needed to take more calculated risk or step outside our personality in an effort to level the playing field.
Well, one of the things that happened was Justin Herbert put up, and I think he's obviously elite quarterback talent, but his legs. What happened with all those breakdowns with regard to, you had to be mindful of the secondary, and I'm sure you put a lot of guys back in coverage. How much did that create the openings that he took advantage of?
Part of it was that having backups and so forth in the secondary probably minimized our opportunity to blitz in the game, and so we were rushing him with 4. But oftentimes within that 4-man rush, we were playing with backups. We lost Loudermilk latter part of the week. He was unavailable. We had to elevate Dan off the practice squad. We had to elevate Deontay Scott off the practice squad because of Watt. And so some of the 4-man rush configurations we were working with just didn't have good enough or experienced enough players to keep a guy like him in the pocket. And so it was significant.
All right, Coach, next up, it's that big game against the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati. The Steelers have had their share of success there. We'll talk about what makes them tick. They're coming off a win against the Raiders to get to 6-4. It's all coming up as we continue right here with the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show on KDKA.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. Are you 84 Lumber material? Visit 84lumber.com/careers to learn more.
And a much improved Cincinnati Bengal team. They haven't beaten Pittsburgh by more than 10 points since 1995. They haven't won here since 2015. And they've got back-to-back wins against the Steelers for the first time since the 2012-2013 season. Big win for the Cincinnati Bengals.
This is a big week for us. We're not going to downplay it, man. This is significant AFC North football for us.
You see where the AFC is, you see where the AFC North is. They came here and beat us last time, and every game now is starting to become more and more important.
We know this is going to be a dogfight on Sunday. What happened the last time we played them has no bearing on this game whatsoever. Pittsburgh is a tremendous team. They know what it's like to be in a position in late November, December, and how important these games are, and every divisional game matters. And so we're going to get their best shot, and they're going to get ours.
It's not only the next game, but it's the most important.
Now it's time to turn our attention to the Cincinnati Bengals coming off a win against the Raiders. And they had lost a couple of games, seemed to get it back, and they used a run-heavy offensive approach. So, Mike, let's talk about this rematch of a game won by Cincinnati at Heinz Field earlier this season. Your expectations of this one going in?
Just in terms of our mindset and the opportunity or the challenge that is this week, it's really no different than the circumstances that we were in a couple of weeks ago when we went to Cleveland. This is a road divisional game. It's a head-to-head matchup. It's a significant one. Similar things are at stake. We're going to call on our mindset and our experience as we prepare for that opportunity in preparation for this one. We know where we are. We know where they are. We got to go on the road and conquer that challenge. That's just a component of this journey that you can't run away from. As a matter of fact, we run to. We relish these opportunities. We respect them. We respect the Bengals. But it's a game that's a big one for us. And we're not going to play it cool and pretend like it's not.
Well, not that you need motivation, but Tyler Boyd, the last time you guys met, basically accused your team of quitting. Does that resonate in the locker room?
You mentioned that last time, and I laughed, and I continue to laugh. We just got so many more tangible challenges that should inspire us, and that's just the reality of it. We can't waste a lot of time worried about Tyler Boyd, man. They got a guy like Jamar Chase lighting up scoreboards and running behind people. We better focus our energies on Chase if we're zeroing in on any particular receiver.
Yeah, he's been dynamic, and Joe Burrow brings a lot of the same tool bag that you saw with Justin Herbert. What do you have to be mindful of with him? And you've seen him now one time. He's been around for a couple of years, minus the injury. But your take on him and what you have to do to stop him specifically?
He plays with a great deal of confidence. He does. He has a established rapport with Chase, like I mentioned. It shows up in a lot of circumstances. I really think that relationship and the emergence of Chase is a thing that makes them significantly different when you look at them in 2021. They had Joe Mixon in the past. Obviously, they had Joe Burrow and guys like Boyd and Higgins. That rapport, that relationship that they're bringing from Baton Rouge, the infusion of that long ball, well-rounded receiving threat in Chase, I think is something that makes him different. That big play that we gave up right before the half really kind of changed the complexion of the game. It was a defensive battle. That game was going back and forth. We had earned a turnover. We had overcome some turnover or turnover two by our offense in that game. I thought that long ball to Chase really kind of changed the atmosphere, and it was something that we were running on the beach against the rest of the day.
Last week they ran the ball quite a bit, like 38 times. Do you expect more of that? And Joe Mixon, not a lot of people talk about him as, the elite runners in the game, but boy, he puts up numbers each and every week, it seems like.
Yeah, Joe needs no endorsement from me. His numbers tell the story. But not only this year, in recent years, he's been one of the most consistently productive runners in the NFL. He's good inside, he's good outside. He's got good leg drive. He finishes off runs. He's got good vision. Their outside zone game and his ability to find the crease in the defense is really good. It has been really good, but it's been really highlighted of late. I thought it was exceptional in Baltimore a couple of weeks ago. He really displayed some good vision in that game and ran through that defense in ways that you don't usually see. And so we got a great deal of respect for him. We understand that's going to be a component of their game planning. It always starts there for us. If somebody's running the ball through you, you're going to have a tough time winning circumstantial downs and situational play. And so that's a focus for us as we prepare.
One other thing, this game, like a lot of the AFC North games, often comes down to a kick. You have one of the best in the game, but Cincinnati has an emerging guy in Evan McPherson, and I saw last week he was the first guy this year to hit 3 field goals of 50-plus in a game. So it could very well come down to the special teams again.
If it comes down to kicking, I like our chances with Boz. Boz has been exceptional this year, and so I just got a great deal of confidence in him and really can't wait to call on him. He always delivers. Lost in last week's shuffle was that significant kick he made to put us up late in that football game. But again, like he and I laughed about often, it's great when it's a non-story that he's making kicks. He's got us all to that level of comfort and spoiling us with the consistency of his play.
All right, Coach. Yeah, I think most people are expecting a tightly contested game in Cincinnati on Sunday. You'll see it on KDK TV. When we come back, Merril Hoge is here with his playbook as he takes a look back at that first meeting between the Steelers and the Bengals. Coming up right here on the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. Don't go away.
Welcome back to the 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show.
All right, now it's time for Merril Hoge to bring out his playbook. You might remember the last time the Steelers and Bengals met. Cincinnati came into Pittsburgh and won 24-10. He's going to take a look at some of the things that went wrong and what the Steelers have to do to change it tomorrow.
This week, it is a rematch of the Cincinnati Bengals, all right, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, in the first matchup, if you remember, defensively, that's where we're going to start. They were devastated. Highsmith, Watt, both out. And early in the matchup, they made some mistakes. But what was interesting, later in the game, they adjusted, and they corrected those mistakes. I want to show you a few of those plays and how I expect them to play in this particular matchup. Now, this was very early in the game. The one thing to notice right off the bat, they're in an empty formation. Well, that is a good formation to blitz unless your quarterback's going to get it out quick. And the Steelers are pretty basic here. I mean, they're just bringing 4 people here. What the Bengals do is they actually create a mismatch. They get this wide receiver close to the formation on Bush, a linebacker. In any situation, you consider that a mismatch because you like a wide receiver on your linebacker. Well, then they run what we always have called a jerk route. Joe Burrow sees it, they throw it, Poor tackling, bumper pool, we got a touchdown. From the end zone, though, I want you to see, actually, Bush does a pretty good job. You know, you don't want to get beat inside. That's what he's doing. He wants to drive the receiver back out, and he does a good job of that initially. You know, he's playing that. Now the receiver, this is the jerk part, goes to the outside. Here's the problem. That's not a tackle. I don't know what that is, but that is not a tackle. That may be why you got traded to Kansas City, because those things happen, people are going to score touchdowns. Well, later in the game, empty formation. There's Joe Burrow. Different look, though, this time. The Steelers, boy, they got people up in here. They're threatening. Love it when you blitz, because if you pressure this guy with nobody in the backfield, they got to get rid of the football so quick. Well, at the top of his drop, I mean, everybody is covered. Much better job here of getting people covered, and you're bringing pressure. Well, Joe Burrow tries to leave. They end up sacking him. Now, let's take a look at the Steeler offense versus that Bengal defense. Let's go to their running game. You know, problems that they were having at times is just not accounting for people. Well, this time they do a great double here. Tackle works out, but they don't account for the end here. And he gets in the backfield. And that was kind of what was happening in the early part of the year. Missing assignments, not communicating very well. Well, you already got penetration. Najee hasn't even touched the ball yet. Penetration, number one killer in the running game. And it completely ruined the game, the running game initially, early in the game. But in the second half, a lot of things changed. And this is where I thought the Steelers start to come together as a team and an offensive line. Great double teams here, and then they move up here to get the linebacker. That really allows your running back options, but he presses the hole and reads these blocks. Well, they were done so well that Najee just kept going downhill. Breaks an arm tackle, makes somebody move, which he's so good at, extra yards. That got better in the second half. Well, the passing game was the same way. This is a blitz look. You got 8 guys up here for the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, that is a blitz look if you've ever seen it. And they all end up coming. But look what happens as they come. I mean, Ben's got to get rid of the football. Nobody here is looking for the ball. You got an unfree guy here and a free defender here, so that ball does have to come out. Well, nobody's looking. It's hard to complete it when nobody's looking. But in the second half, or the second time they see this, it's very similar. The only difference, even though this is a blitz look, you got your safety deep because he's covering Najee. Now, when they blitz this one, actually Claypool is going to look, but they're going to keep running their glance routes. But what the Steelers do is the adjustment. They bring Najee across here, and with no extra guy, because he's in the backfield, they get the ball to him. So they did some things in the second half, and they adjusted. They got better in their running game. They got better in the passing game.
All right, Merrill, thanks very much. And you can find out more great information from Merril Hoge and the Playbook on the Steelers YouTube page. Right now, it's time for the Keys of the Game, presented by your neighborhood Ford store. All right, Coach, offensively, you guys put up over 37 points last week. I know you'd like to see that continue in this game. That would make life a little easier for your defense. What has to happen to get sustained drives and result in touchdowns at the end of those drives?
It's the same thing that we've been focused on all year, and really, quite frankly, we've been doing a good job of minimizing, and that's one of the core reasons why we're improving. We minimize negativity with penalties. It doesn't put us behind the chains, and that keeps us in play in terms of positioning the score. We also got to take care of the football. We did a good job of that a week ago. When you don't turn it over, you give yourselves a chance to win. We had 2 big turnovers that they turned into 14 points the last time we played the Bengals at home, and that was one of the core reasons why we lost the game. We take care of the football. We don't get behind the chains because of penalties. We'll have an opportunity to move it fluidly and score.
One of the things that is always important is getting touchdowns in the red zone, specifically when you're first and goal. How big will that be in this game? And philosophy-wise, do you change maybe your approach play-calling-wise sometimes in that area? In other words, become more physical as opposed to throwing the ball, first and goal inside the 10-yard line?
We're not overly concerned about that. We'll keep working to get better in those areas. I think the most significant things are the things that I outlined. We're not in position to overcome penalties. We're not in position to overcome turnovers. Points are points. We turn possessions into points. We're getting what we want from our offensive unit.
All right, for Joe Burrow and stopping him, again, a guy who can move his legs a little bit to create some opportunity. You'll have some players back that you didn't have last week. How important is that, especially at the backside of your defense?
You know, it's significant. It's significant not only on the back end, but the front end. To play without TJ Watt is something that you don't want to do a lot of. We didn't have TJ the last time we played the Bengals. We lost that game. We had no sacks in that game. That might have been the first time in a couple of years or whatever that we've had a game where we didn't sack the quarterback. And so that shows the significance of the presence of guys like him. And so we're excited about getting him back. We had a big week ahead of us in terms of prep that way. We want to carry that into the stadium and have that show up in a significant way.
One other thing, real quick, you said that your team has gotten better with not committing penalties, and that's a good thing because you're taking on a team that is the least penalized team in the NFL. They've been really good about that.
Yeah, we got respect for their evolution. You know, that hadn't always been the case, but a lot of it has to do with the cast of characters that used to play there and so forth. I miss those guys. They brought a lot of color to the rivalry, but just got a lot of respect for the rivalry in general and excited about how significant this game is this week.
Very significant when anytime you're talking about AFC North. So Mike Tomlin, head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, thanks very much. As always, we appreciate the time.
Thank you.
That'll do it for tonight's 84 Lumber Mike Tomlin Show. We thank you very much for joining us. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And tomorrow, our game day begins on KDKA, 11:30 a.m. with Steelers kickoff. And then it's the Bengals and the Steelers, a very big game as the Steelers go down the stretch into the second half of the season. That's going to do it for everyone here. I'm Bob Pompeani. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow on Game Day.